Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As I said before in the previous video, we went and put the Z idlers together. These are all assembled and everything. I planned on using toothed idlers here that I had ordered from Fabrico. They were a little bit too big, and the inner race of the bearing, to show you, is different. It's a little bit different than the one on that I had ordered from them. The inner race and the outer race are too close to each other. So when the washer locks down onto it, it was binding on the outer race, when really it should just be contacting the inner race, which the bearing has a wider inner race with the bearing shield, which turns freely. Okay. I got on the phone with Fabrico, reached out to him. She transferred me over to Hector, and let me just say, what a guy. He took about 20 minutes. We were on the phone going over everything. I was miking everything with the micrometer that I have, and he was really, sending me pictures of what he has that might be comparable, that might work. We were really, going through the weeds, so to speak, on figuring out what was the best option here. And from what we had determined, the bearing that's needed, or the idler that's needed with the bearing installed into the idler, is something that he currently does not have in stock. So unfortunately, I do have to send all those back. He was very nice about it. He, sent me a shipping label to send it back. I don't know if I'm getting charged to ship that back, but I'm not going to be able to use those idlers until they work out a different way of making that with the bearing a little bit bigger on the inner race, or protruding outside of the idler, to make it so when you smush it down together between the shims on the outside and the nylon washer on the inside, that it contacts that inner race only to allow it to spin freely. So, but huge shout out to Hector at Fabrico and his team, the lady that was assisting me beforehand. I really appreciate it. They earned a customer for life by doing that and going that extra mile, sitting down with me, sending me pictures of what he has. I was sending him pictures of what I have, and talking about what would work. So we're going to use everything in the kit as the kit came and intended to be built with. When I do the maintenance on it, which will be in the future, hopefully right around a few hundred hours, if not more than that, on the machine, once I'm able to print with it, and I need to change out those idlers, those bearings and such like that, then I'll go ahead and hope that they have something that is comparable to the bearing stack, more than just the inner race and outer race being right on top of each other and not fitting. But yeah, huge shout out to them. Really appreciate that. So right now we're going to move to the assembly guide 2.1.2, the Z motor assemblies. Okay. Again, this is the wiki, the Fysetc wiki page. I will not be using the GitHub because it is not updated, as I've stressed before. And let's go ahead and get going. I have all the CNC parts here. We'll go ahead and put these off to the side. I have these CNC parts here that it calls for. These ones here. These back pieces. And then there was a little baggie that all this was in. Okay, these are the little spacers that go in there. The little spot that mounts the front of the motor to the extrusion, all the other little spacers that you need for this, as depicted right here. That bag had all of that stuff in that blue. I know it's kind of hard to see the focusing on, but if you click on the wiki and kind of follow along, if you're building this, you can follow this and it shows you exactly what you're looking for. So let's go ahead and get started. I believe I have everything here. If not, I'll have to run over here to the boxes and grab it. the package with this stuff in it was in this package right in the center of box number 2, the underlayer, the second layer from the top with the CNC parts. Okay, so if you're looking for all this stuff, it is in the middle of the CNC parts. And again, all these are where the CNC parts are. For this, it told us to grab the 9 by 0.5 washers. The 9 by 0.5 washers and all the other screws. That I have right here. So we have the shims. Again, very nice labeling. The M8 button heads, M3 by 30 socket heads, M3 by 25 socket heads. So we have all that stuff right in front of us, and we'll go ahead and get started, as well as the motor pulleys. Okay. And if anybody is wondering, this bearing stack right here measures 12 millimeters. Okay, 12 millimeters. The outside dimension of the idler pulleys that Hector had sent me, these ones are actually from West 3D, and these don't work either because of that same reason. The inner and outer race are right on top of each other, so those aren't going to work. The outer dimension of the outside of the pulley, I believe, is 15 or 16. So it was well beyond, with that nylon washer in there, well beyond what would actually fit. Because with that idler and the nylon washer, it would not fit in between the red here. Okay? It just purely wouldn't. So if you're looking at replacing these, definitely have to either wait until something comes out or find somebody that does them custom or whatever it may be. Hector said that he had some that they had actually kind of fused these bearings together, and it had more of a inner and outer race such as this one does. So let's go ahead, we'll grab our parts here. We need one of these to start off with. And these little guys. So, and these little guys that go and mount on the front of that plate, those are tapped holes there, those two. Okay. So it doesn't tell me what screw that is, but if I look, M3 by 8 button head cap screw. So it tells me on the top. It's a different illustration. I wish they would have done the same thing that they did for the top up there with those blue kind of lines drawn to them. I wish they would have done that there and kind of just illustrated it, but kind of put 2 and 2 together there, looking at both and figure it out. So we have, let's see what size we got here. So for the M3 by 8 button head cap screw, it's going to be a 2 millimeter. Okay. So just like this, put one in there, one in there, and we'll take this, and this goes like this. And now that I got it somewhat tight, I'm actually going to take this out and I'm going to throw a little bit of Loctite on there. Just a tiny little bit. I took one out so the other one holds it in place, and then I'll put this little bit of Loctite on here. If the Loctite wants to cooperate, maybe I'll put Loctite on here. Okay, a little bit of Loctite, get the little bit of excess off there. Take the other one out. And I'm just putting a tiny little bit of Loctite on there. So the first step, you can see I added that little flanged mounting bracket up there with the two M3x8 button head cap screws. Okay. So I'll do that too, and let's see. Some of these are different depending on which way they mount. So yeah, like these. So you do two. So you do 2 and 2. Okay. So I'll do these two all right now, and then I'll do the other two that go the other way. Okay. And what you see me doing on the table here is I'm just making sure that that's all square to each other. So I'm just holding it down on the table and just tightening it to make sure that the bracket is square to that. There's another one. So now we'll fix these two up. These look to be like they're going to be, let's see here. Are they the left or the right? These are going to be the right. Yep, these are going to be the right. The right ones. So now if we look at, now this is very important what it says here. You really got to look at the orientation of this, where the motor wires plug into, because then you're going to remove 2 of these screws. Okay. So on the right ones, with this orientated towards me, I'm going to remove the 2 to the right of this. Okay. So these 2 right here. when the plug is right there. And it shows that in the picture. So we will go ahead and remove these. This is a Phillips head to take these two screws out of the back of the motor. So these, I don't think they get used anymore. I'll put them off to the side just in case. Now, I'm going to need one of those and one of those. Okay, then we're going to grab, we're going to put these off to the side, the M3x8s, and we're going to grab the M3x30s. I'm going to need 3 of these, and 2 of the M3x25s. Okay, so we got this. Okay, so these are going one here, and one here. And these two are here and here. So these 3 here, okay, as depicted in the thing, all the right side ones here, right of this bracket, are 30 millimeters, and then these 2 in the front on this little drop down portion are the 25 millimeter. Okay. So we'll set that there. Then we need, let's see, is it this one? Nope, definitely looks like this one. Two of these. And so number 7 and number 8. So we'll go back up. Number 7 and number 8. Seems like they're self-explanatory, but there's a bunch of different kinds here. And of course, it doesn't tell you which ones are number 7s. It looks like these little short guys. It looks like these little stubby guys compared to these longer ones. These definitely look stubby. They're the same size as these, so if these match up in size, these are them. Yep, these guys right here. So we need how many of those? 2 of those. Okay. Then the 1/2 mil washer. Okay, so just dump the washers all over the place. Okay, so we will be putting the smooth side towards the plate. And that goes on the M25s, the 25 millimeter screws. So smooth side toward the plate is what we're gonna go with on this one. Then we take our bearing stack. So there's 2 bearings here. Take our bearing stack, put it on this one with the little shoulder. And those go on the 2 25 millimeter screws. Okay. Then I'll get another bearing stack going here. And I'll put that on the other 25 millimeter one. Then oh, see, it's a little confusing. It only shows, so if you look right here at this dock, it shows only 2 of those long sleeves going through. But then if you look down here, it shows all 3 of the short stubbier sleeves going. It shows 3 of them. Up here, it only shows 2. So 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. Then now that we have that all on, we're going to take this and line this up. Hold this together so it doesn't come flying out of here. Let's see, is this M3? 2.5 maybe? My guess. Oh boy. Okay. Just hold this like this. Put this back in here. I'm actually pretty impressed. I only lost 1 in that whole deal. Okay, so those are good. And then the M25, the 25 millimeter ones, those are threaded into the plate on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these in here, and I think I'm actually going to back out the other one. I'll just put it in here to hold this together for now. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite in here along with, because these go into the motor mounts. Yeah, these go into these holes here. But the one thing I'm surprised is there's only 3 that go into the actual motor. There is not a 4th one. So in the motor, you have these tapped holes here. There's 1 on each side here. And going around this way. There's those 4, but there's only 3 that mount into there. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, there's one. Yeah, and this is going into aluminum, so being very careful on how hard you tighten these. And they both spin very nice, very freely. Now, so here's what that looks like. You have the two M25 holes that hold the bearing stacks, okay? And then you have the three that are gonna go into the motor right here that have these sleeves on them. It doesn't tell you how far to put this in there, but I'm guessing you kind of, you just kind of pop it in there and kind of match it up to these other pulleys, I think is what the idea is here. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like when I put this in here. So the nose is gonna be like that. And it actually looks like I'm gonna be mounting this all the way down because it looked pretty matched up. So let's see what happens when I do this here. What I'm gonna do is the one that's on the flat spot of the motor, because the motor, it's the same thing, but it does have a little milled flat spot on there, okay? The set screw that goes into that one, I'm taking it out and I'm going to put Loctite on it. Okay, so now it is locked on. And I don't have to worry about the Loctite, that screw backing out. I could do this other one. You know what? Actually, I will do that. It's not rotating really fast like the other ones will be. But we'll go ahead and do it just so it doesn't back out. And when you're doing these screws are so small that you really don't have to put a lot. The set screws are 2mm hex, so that's the wrench that you're going to need for the motor ones. So there, now that's mounted. And now I'll throw it up here real quick and see. So with this toward me, okay, I know it's up in the air right now, but it's going to match the nose on this one, just as the picture is. And then this is going to mount on the face of this motor. And before I do this, I will hit these with some Loctite. Just a little bit. I'm actually going to put them in the holes. And I'm really surprised that they designed this to only have 3 on the mounting. I guess since it's not rotating fast and it's more of a precision thing, it probably doesn't need it, but so with this nose toward me, this is going to go down like this. And even though there's only 3, I'm still going to use the cross torque method as you would changing a car, tire, or of that nature, and kind of do all these just a little bump at a time so it's as square as it possibly could be. Yep, and those are all on there. So as you can see, when you look, the motor pulley matches up with those other 2 pulleys perfectly. Okay. And now I'll give them a bump for good luck. Now it's going to have us take the M3x60, which is that this one? Nope. I did not grab the M3x60, so I'll go over here and grab those. And this little plate here. And this plate, it has a notch, and it kind of looks like that in the picture, but it doesn't really show the notch very well. So that's something I would definitely look at. And if I was, if I was Fysetc looking at this, I would definitely make that a little bit more pronounced, so people can see that there is a notch there. Because yeah, it barely looks like there's a notch there. So put this in here like this. I'm gonna run some some Loctite on this. Why is this acting goofy? Oh, it helps if you open it. Really helps. Okay. So the notch, that little notch is going to line up with the electrical plug on the side of the motor, okay? And I'm going to lay this flat on the table, so again, it can sit flat on there. And to ensure that I tighten both of them evenly, I'm just going to do a little bump for each side, going back and forth, because I want this to be, I don't want it to be pinched up in there. And this is all going into steel, so I mean, you don't have to kill it when you're tightening it, but you don't have to be as tedious as you would be for the aluminum. So there we have it. We have the back pin on there. We have the front assembly all set. Okay, and that's one. So now we need another one exactly like this, and then we need one that'll flip to the other side and be for the opposite ends of this. So let's go ahead and I'll use that as the example. We'll get another bearing, 2 bearing stacks out. So there's 2 of the ends, 2 of the ends, and 2 of the ends. And you know what, guys? I actually have some family coming over today. So I am going to pause right there. I'm probably going to do the other left one. I will restart the video and be recording when I do the right side so you can see how that is. Even though it's a mirror image of the left side, I'm going to do the left side off camera and then I'll do the right side on camera. And that'll be the part 2 of the assembling the Z idler motors. Okay? So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around for more content as we continue our YouTube journey of building the Venture XL. Thank you and have a wonderful day.